Hey, YouTube Rando here. So we all know I don't do a lot of firearm videos. I just don't do them. Every once in a while I feel like doing one and I do one, and usually if I feel like doing one, it's because I've been watching firearm videos all day on YouTube. But one thing I do know a lot about when it comes to firearms is customer service. I deal with a lot of different companies. I've been a collector since I was 18. I got my first gun actually when I was 15, but I bought my first firearm when I turned 18, and I've been buying ever since, probably anywhere from 3 to 10 guns a year. You know, when I was younger, I bought a lot more. Now I buy 3 or 4 guns a year, and that's it. So as you can imagine, I've bought a lot of different guns from a lot of different companies, so I've dealt with a lot of different customer service representatives. And that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about the top 3 worst experiences and the top 3 best experiences. Now, on the worst side, the top company that has the worst customer service, I've dealt with more than once. Probably 3 or 4 times. 3 that I know of that I can count. So probably in the past I've dealt with them before as well. And the two companies other on the worst list, the 2 other companies on the worst list, I've dealt with each of them one time. So maybe I did get a bad customer representative, and you know, maybe they were in a bad mood or whatever. But I've heard from other sources that people complain about their customer service as well, so they made it onto the top 3 list. The other ones on the best list, I've dealt with all of them more than once. The top one I've dealt with, probably 4 or 5 times now. And then, by the way, this isn't about who makes the best firearm. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's going to surprise you of who's on the worst list and who's on the best list. This isn't going by who makes the best firearm. This is going by customer service only. Which company has the best customer service and which company has the worst customer service. And again, this is just my opinion. You may have dealt with one of these companies on the worst list and it was the best company you ever dealt with. I don't know. I'm just telling you out of my experiences which ones I've dealt with that are good and which ones are bad. And we're not talking about decent here. If we're talking about decent, you know, Smith & Wesson would be on there for sure. There's quite a few companies that have decent customer service. Not the best, but not the worst, you know what I mean? So they don't make the list. We're going best and worst. So let's go for the top 3 worst companies I've ever dealt with first. And again, these first 2 are on the bottom of the list. We'll go with number 3 first is going to be H&K. And H&K and number 2 are very similar. Number 2 is going to be Kimber. These are the 2 worst companies on the bottom of the list that I've ever had to deal with. Both of them treated me like I was stupid, like I broke the gun. The gun didn't break. It was operator error. You know what I mean? Neither one was very helpful. They couldn't give me things like tracking numbers. They couldn't tell me if they were going to repair or if they were just going to replace. They were very, very rude, to say the least, but they weren't helpful at all. They couldn't give me any information on the gun. They couldn't tell me if it was going to be back ordered. And the Kimber was the Kimber Pro Covert 2, and I was pissed because I paid a lot of money for that gun. I bought it when it first hit the shelves. I picked up the gun. Worst buy ever. It actually turned me off from ever buying another Kimber. And I like Kimber. They make good guns. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're the worst gun company. I'm saying they have the worst customer service. Now, for the top worst customer service of all times that I've ever had to deal with, Taurus. And this actually almost kept me from buying the Taurus Ultralight I recently purchased. I'm not saying Taurus doesn't make a great product. Let's face it. They make a good, decent product, but it's not the best product on the market. They have fair prices is about the only good thing I can say about Taurus. And they're not the worst gun on the market for the price. So they have good product, or decent product, like I said, but their customer service sucks. And when you get a brand new Taurus, usually you have to strip it down and clean it and get all that gunk out of there, and there's usually a couple of burrs you have to take out. You know what I mean? Taurus doesn't ship. They're not known for shipping their guns ready to shoot, you know. A lot of times you have to do it, and Ruger's the same way. I've found that, you know, Ruger Mini 14s and stuff like that, I've had to tear down in the past when they're brand new and do a little bit of work to them. But all gun companies can be like that. So Taurus, definitely let's put it like this: if you buy a what is it, Rossi, a product from them which is made by Taurus. If you buy a product from them and they tell you that they have to replace it with a gun of equal or lesser value, and you pick out a Taurus, they won't send it to you. You have to pick out a company from them, even though Taurus makes them. You can't pick a Taurus gun, and you go through Taurus customer service. By the way, it's the same customer service, the same number anyway, or it was in recent years. Probably 2 or 3 years ago, I had to deal with them. It's been a while, but I don't like Taurus. Worst company I've ever had to deal with. We'll throw that out there. Best 3 companies, and this might surprise you as well. Number 3, I've only had to deal with them twice. That's why they're on the bottom of the list, because I can't say they're the best until I deal with them more than 3 or 4 times. Somewhere in there makes me feel comfortable saying they're the best. But my number 3 company is going to be Springfield. Springfield makes a good product, but they stand behind their product. So if you have problems, a lot of companies, they want you to send the broken part in and do this and fill this out. No, Springfield will ship it straight out to you. I didn't even send in a proof of purchase for 2 of these companies. Ruger, I had to fill out some paperwork, and I guess I just gave it away. That's my number 2 company is Ruger. Ruger, I think they've just been in business so long, they know customer service, you know what I mean? They know good customer service reps, and they have their process down pat. So I think that's why Ruger takes number 2. And I almost put Smith & Wesson number 3, but like I said, I've had bad blood with Smith & Wesson before over products, but they still have a decent customer service. So Ruger's going to be number 2. Springfield's going to be number 3. Can anybody guess what number 1 is? It's a company that I usually don't buy. I've bought 2 of their guns so far. No, 3. I've bought 3 of their guns so far. I had a problem out of 2 of them. So we'll just say they're not the best company on the market for firearms, but they are the best company I've ever had to deal with customer service, and that's Kel-Tec. I know a lot of people down Kel-Tec over their products. I understand you don't like Kel-Tec products. I don't hate Kel-Tec products, because I do enjoy my Sub 2000 and my PLR, both cool little guns to shoot. Nothing I'd want to depend my life on, but they're fun to shoot if nothing else. Kel-Tec, no proof of purchase necessary. Tell us what the problem is. Find out what part's broke. We'll send you a brand new one. No need to send us the part. No need to send us proof of purchase. Just tell us what you need. And they did. They send the parts right out. No problems. If you can't figure out what the problem is, you can actually send the gun to them. They take it apart, they clean it, they oil it, and they fix it and send it back to you with a brand new mag. This has happened to me one time before, and I'm not saying they do it with every gun, but my Sub 2000 I had internal problems with. I sent it in, they sent it back, no problems. They sent me a brand new mag, and the gun had been stripped down and cleaned, which I didn't ask them to do that either. They just did it. And supposedly, from what I've heard, High Point's the same way. Now, I don't know how true that is. I know their carbine's hard to break down. I know people that had to do it, and they just send it into the company, and supposedly they take it down, they clean it, they oil it, put it back together, and send it back to them with a brand new mag. Now, that isn't coming from me, so that's why High Point's not on my... I don't buy High Points. I've bought one High Point my entire life, and I actually still own it. It's fun to shoot, I can say that. And it's not a pistol, it's a carbine. But anyways, yeah, I think Kel-Tec has probably the best customer service I've ever had to deal with. I know that'd probably make a bunch of gun guys mad. Probably Kimber and H&K being on my worst list would probably make a couple gun guys mad. But anybody who's ever owned a lot of Kimber or H&K products, they've probably had to deal with them once or twice, and they understand that they just have bad customer service. I mean, I guess they're just not used to their guns breaking down. I don't know, but they both companies treated me like I broke the gun. The gun didn't break. You broke the gun. What did you do to break the gun? That's how they treated you. And you know, I'm not huge on Kimbers or H&K now. I won't ever buy another Kimber, and unless I get a really good deal on an H&K, I'm not going to buy one of those either. I still buy Taurus, even though the worst one on the list. At least they're fair priced. Kimber and H&K is way overpriced. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, they make a fine product. I'm not down in either company about their product. I'm down in them about their customer service. and Springfield, Ruger, and Keltec, all good companies. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, YouTube.